Good evening, tributes, and welcome back to another Tales of the Hunger Games After 100 episode. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Christian Blanco for creating the series in the first place, as well as Andrew Maclaine for designing some of the wonderful art used inside this video. I normally do not ask for favors from my viewers. However, this episode, if you enjoyed it, I would appreciate if you could leave a comment down in the description telling me what you liked or how I could do better. It motivates me to keep writing. But without further ado, let's hop straight into this episode. Ever since the rebellion of 112, the capital eagerly awaited President Hal Nevron's quinquennial quell announcement. On a pink June summer morning, President Nevron addressed Panem and announced that as a reminder to the districts of the capital's forgiveness, this year, each tribute will be allowed to bring one item of their choice into the arena with them at the start of the games. This triggered many questions within the capital, but fortunately, Sif Heavensby appeared in the commentator's box shortly afterward to address the citizens' questions. Sif told viewers that tributes would be given a long list of items to choose from, and they would only be able to pick one of them. Sif then showed the official list, which featured many different items, ranging from foodstuffs to weapons. Sif then explained that should a tribute want to bring an item into the arena that is not listed on the list, they should ask the game makers during the training assessments. Fender Hindenburg, victor of the 109th Hunger Games, was taken to District 9 after suffering from symptoms of heat stroke in District 10. Fender did not seem to like the sweltering heat District 9 provided. However, he dealt with it by staying inside the air-conditioned rooms of the mayor's house until the reap began. When Fender took the stage, he noticed that the vast majority of the population was wearing a single strand of wheat pinned to their shirts. Although he had no way of knowing, the strand was later revealed to represent rebellion. Once Mayor Monty had finished her speech on the importance of the games, Fender walked over to the female reaping bowl and pulled out a name. He announced this to be 16-year-old Focaccia Scrimger. Focaccia screamed upon hearing her name being called, and begged the approaching peacekeepers not to take her away. When the peacekeepers ignored her, Fender collapsed to the ground and fainted, causing Sif to choke in disgust. Focaccia was eventually carried to the stage. Fender looked at Focaccia in disgust, before walking over to the male reaping bowl. Inside, Fender pulled out a name from its depths, which he revealed to be 17-year-old Briash Winfield. Briash barely reacted when his name was called, and simply shrugged at his friends. As Briash walked towards the stage, two peacekeepers walked behind him, but Briash pushed them away, which made the bulkier peacekeeper jab Briash with his gun. Fender shook hands with Briash before Mayor Monty dismissed the population. Inside the town hall, the tributes were carefully checked for weapons. They were then allowed to meet their parents, but under the constant watch of peacekeepers. Focaccia had still not awoken when her parents entered the town hall. Therefore, the peacekeepers ushered her parents out of the town hall and carried her to the train. Briash was visited by both his parents. However, he seemed annoyed that the peacekeepers were listening in on their conversation, and therefore did not say much. Briash's mother was noticed to have looked at the peacekeepers in disgust, as her son was taken to the train station. On the train, Briash tried waking up Focaccia. However, Focaccia was still unconscious. He therefore ate some food from the bar and read a book. When the train began to move, Briash asked a nearby peacekeeper who his mentor was. The peacekeeper did not reply, but simply stood still. This annoyed Briash. However, he sat down and continued to read his book. Focaccia awoke just as the train exited the outer boundaries of District 9. Briash seemed very annoyed that their mentors had still not come into the carriage. He then walked over to the peacekeeper again and punched him. However, the peacekeeper did not flinch at all. This made Briash release his anger and punch the peacekeeper multiple times before he felt a hand on his shoulder. Brioche jumped and turned around to see Chief Jaworski, victor of the 87th Hunger Games, looking into his eyes. Brioche immediately apologized. However, Chief pointed to the punching bag in the corner. Brioche noticed this and apologized again, which made Chief smile and walk over to Focaccia. Focaccia noticed Chief and pretended to collapse, but he awoke her and told her to go to the other room, where her mentor was waiting. As night fell outside the train, Brioche and Chief watched films of past games and discussed what to bring into the arena. In the other room, Tridica and Focaccia ate some food and also discussed what items to bring into the arena. In the morning, the train entered Snow Station. Chief ordered Focaccia and Brioche to stay in a single-file line and attempt to ignore any capital citizens. He then opened the train door and led the tributes onto the platform. Focaccia and Brioche both did as told and looked away, which seemed to disappoint citizens. However, Chief did not seem to care. The awaiting limousine then took them to the accommodation center. There, Chief pulled out a bottle of wine and called the group's stylist, Harvard Wentworth. When Harvard arrived, he seemed displeased with the smaller builds of the tributes. He and his team then took their measurements and discussed with Chief on potential outfit designs. After a long time of thinking, Harvard chose to dress the tributes in golden fabric and adored them with wheat flowing along their back. Tridica appeared confused about this design. However, she did not question it, as the tributes appeared to like it. Chief requested to turn on the television. However, the television in the District 9 apartment was broken due to an unidentified cause. Therefore, Chief and his tribute spoke about which weapons would be of most use in the arena. In the floor above, Viscera Maddox, victor of the 108th Hunger Games, was showing her tributes footage of the reaping of District 8. Fender appeared very displeased upon seeing the sea of purple. However, he allowed Mayor Wilson to give his speech. Fender then stepped forward to the female reaping bowl. After a while of rummaging, a peacekeeper ordered Fender to choose a name through the headset system. Fender did as told and pulled out a slip of paper. He proceeded to announce that 17-year-old Fabricia Charvet was the female tribute for District 8 this year. Fabricia was surrounded by many of her friends and peacekeepers, as peacekeepers approached her to take her to the stage. On the stage, Fabricia shook hands and smiled at Fender. Fender looked back at her and quietly wished her luck. He then walked over to the male reaping bowl, where he rummaged around and drew a name. Fender opened the slip of paper and walked over to the mic. After reading the paper, Fender gasped in shock, but his voice quivered as he announced that 14-year-old Denham Cartwright was the male tribute. The population's shock was audible as a human crater formed around Ava Barrick's son. Denham sighed sadly and walked to the stage without needing to be escorted. Siv commented that Ava's son looked better than what she had expected. Cameras then turned to Fabricia, who was no longer smiling and was now glaring at Denham. Sif joked that Ava would probably not help Fabricia. Fabricia continued to stare down Denham as Mayor Wilson dismissed the population. In the town hall, Fabricia was visited by her parents. She spoke to them about her thoughts on Denham. Her mother listened intently, and when Fabricia was done speaking, she told her not to take Ava's words too seriously, and to prepare to kill Denham at any time. In the other room, Denham was prepared to exit out of the other door. However, a peacekeeper informed him that some of his friends would like to visit him. Denham agreed, and some of his friends entered. He and his friends chatted about their regular life. But when the allotted time passed, his friends wished him luck in the games. Denham smiled and thanked them for being great friends over the years. He then exited the meeting room with a very confident demeanor. On the train, Denham was surprised to see Ava and Sheer waiting for them. Apologies for the editing error. Fabricia seemed very disappointed upon seeing Sheer there as well. However, she sat down at the end of the carriage until Ava ordered her over. Ava and Sheer introduced themselves to Fabricia. However, as Ava was about to pull out a workout tape, Fabricia announced that she did not want a mentor for the games. Ava seemed shocked at this, but Sheer told Fabricia that there was no way she would survive the games without a mentor. Fabricia looked back at Sheer before turning her head and walking to her bedroom in another carriage. Ava asked if she should go after her. However, Sheer told her to ignore her. Ava and Sheer then did a variety of exercises with her son. After a while of working out, Ava asked Denham what item he wanted to bring into the arena. Denham thought about it for a moment, before telling his mother that he wanted to bring a weapon. Sheer applauded the decision and told him that bringing a weapon was a smart decision, as being able to defend oneself was the most important thing. When night began to fall outside the train, Ava told Denham to get some sleep. She and Sheer then retreated to their own carriages. As Denham entered his room in the train, he seemed unhinged to hear Fabricia sobbing throughout the night. Once the train had entered Snow Station in the morning, Ava went to Fabricia's carriage, where she spoke with her privately. Although what they said was never revealed, Fabricia was seen to have cried and attempted to shut Ava out. When Fabricia had finally exited her room, she requested that Sheer not follow them onto the station. Sheer seemed reluctant at first, however he agreed, which saw Ava lead the tributes onto the station, while Sheer exited later. Immediately, Denham was surrounded by paparazzi. Denham seemed intimidated, however his mother helped him handle some of the bigger questions. Meanwhile, Fabricia was asked why she looked red in the face. She was clearly nervous around the citizens and stuttered in her answer. Eventually, Fabricia entered the limousine with Denham and Ava. The three were then taken to the accommodation center. At the accommodation center, Fabricia announced that she would be designing her own clothing. Ava told her that she would not be allowed to design her own clothing. Fabricia glared back at Ava and swore at her. This caused Ava to stand up and tell Fabricia that if she did not want her help, she should not act like it. She should not act like she, Ava, wasn't helping. Fabricia continued to stare down Ava and ended up yelling, "So be it." She then walked over to her room, where Ava ordered peacekeepers to deliver her fabrics. Once Ava was certain Fabricia was well supplied, Sheer entered the apartment and asked where Fabricia was. Ava told him about what had happened, which made Sheer chuckle slightly. He looked at Denham and talked with Ava about a variety of designs they could dress him in. After some measurements and tests, Ava showed Denham a suit adorned with golden sparks and scarlet stripes. Denham seemed to enjoy this outfit, and gladly tried it on in the afternoon, when Ava was done stitching. After Ava had confirmed that her son fitted in the outfit, she went to check on Fabricia. However, Fabricia had locked the door tightly. Ava asked a peacekeeper to unlock the door, but from the inside, Fabricia shouted that she would not talk to Ava. Ava appeared worried about Fabricia. However, Sheer comforted her over dinner and told her not to think about it too much. Prior to the parade, Fabricia ordered for all her meals to be delivered to her door. A few hours before the parade, Ava offered to escort her to the chariot waiting area. However, a peacekeeper told her that Fabricia had requested that he escort her. Ava was clearly fed up, however she agreed and led Denham to the chariot waiting area. Before the parade, Focaccia and Brioche chatted with each other and examined the other tributes. Isis of Two walked around the chariots and stroked the horses. She was noted to have stared at every tribute until they noticed. Focaccia and Brioche were spoken to by Sheaf and Tritica. Their mentors informed them of the other tributes and to act confident during the parade. Focaccia and Brioche both nodded in understanding. At the chariot in front of them, Denham spoke with his mother about the other tributes. Ava reassured her son and told him not to be afraid of the couriers. When Fabricia came to the chariot, Ava immediately complimented her outfit. Fabricia had dressed herself in a purple dress with some jewels on the side. Fabricia nodded curtly at Ava and told her that she would not be holding hands with Denham. She then sat down on the chariot and did not say another word until the chariot call sounded. Leading off the parade, Jasper and Morganite, both of one, were complimented by Sif for their diamond-studded outfits. Midway through the parade, Jasper and Morganite pulled off their outer coats, which revealed scarlet shirts beneath. Leonidas and Isis, both of two, were dressed in golden helmets, silver shirts, but coppered pants. Sif praised this as well, for the unique color in the design. Down the parade, Denham and Fabricia did not make eye or physical contact with each other. This caused Sif to be suspicious. However, her attention was diverted when she noticed the outfits of the tributes from District 9. Brioche and Focaccia were dressed in yellow, but their most notable feature was the fact that they both had long capes flowing behind them. Sif appeared to like this. However, she criticized the bland outfits the tributes were wearing underneath the capes. Sif then redirected her attention to the District 8 outfits. She stated that the outfits each looked nice, but did not look well together. Other notable outfits this year included those of Bublaine and Piscus, both of 4, who were dressed as bright blue clams, while Juice and Sprout, both of 11, were praised for being dressed in unique carrot suits. That night, it was voted that the tributes from District 2 were the best dressed, since they used all the different metal colors of award ceremonies. Before sleeping, Chief asked his tributes what item they wanted to bring into the arena. Brioche stated that he wanted to bring a scythe in, as he had experience using it. Focaccia told Chief that she was not as experienced with a scythe. However, she told Chief that she wanted to bring a medical kit into the arena, since she knew how to treat wounds. Chief told Focaccia that bringing a medical kit into the arena was a good idea. However, she would most likely not be able to use it to help her win. Focaccia nodded and asked Chief what other item she should bring. To this, Chief told her to bring in a weapon, and to decide which one in training the next day. He then told the tributes to get some sleep. One floor down, Focaccia had ignored Ava and Sheer, and had run straight to her room. At this point, Ava appeared to be purposefully ignoring her. She told Denham to get some sleep before training the next day. When training began the next morning, tributes seemed fazed by the newly renovated training center. The capital had kindly renovated the place so that it featured a station where tributes could review footage of past games. The walls were also decorated by different pictures of past victors, along with screens that showcased facts about them. Training Master Odin Dalton called all tributes into the center of the center prior to training. Odin told them to train properly, and without horseplay. He also told tributes that if any tributes had questions about their item selection, those questions would have to be saved until their private training sessions. Brioche immediately headed to the weapon station, where he took out a scythe. He then entered a small patch of wheat in the survival station, and furiously sliced the wheat off. This drew the attention of the couriers, and as Brioche continued to demonstrate expertise with his weapon, the couriers began to chat amongst themselves and point at him. Meanwhile, Focaccia had spent her time trying out different weapons. However, she seemed intimidated by the couriers. Focaccia attempted to use a scythe to some degree, but was unable to use it the way Briash was using it. Eventually, Focaccia asked Briash to help her. Briash happily agreed and showed her the basics of using a scythe, and eventually, she was able to use it to some degree. Meanwhile, Fabricia had avoided eye contact with Denim, and started stitching some fabrics together in the fabric station. By lunchtime, she had made a tent and a scarf, which made Odin chuckle with curiosity when he asked her how these items would be of use in the arena. Fabricia replied that a scarf could prevent her from freezing, while the net could help her catch food. This reply made Odin respect Fabricia more, as he nodded in appreciation. Denim had spent the first half of the morning in the fabric station, where he ignored Fabricia. Denim appeared bored after a few minutes of stitching, and therefore he walked over to the sword station and seeked advice from the trainer there. After some time, Denim looked like he was pleased with his skills with his sword. He therefore was ready to set down the sword, but Leonidas of Two approached him and asked him to sword fight. Denim politely refused, and when he noticed a member of the training staff approaching, he simply told him that he did not want to practice anymore. The staff member then turned on his taser, which made Denim tell him that tasering would not make him sword fight. Denim then left the station and walked over to work in the survival station with Kapoka of 7 and Sprout of 11. At lunchtime, Sheev told Briash to ally with the careers if they offered him an alliance, while Tritica told Focaccia to continue to work on her skills with a scythe. At another table, Fabricia ate in silence, while Ava told Denim that he had done the right thing by standing up for himself. When training resumed, Briash was unsurprised to see Jasper of 1 approach him and ask him to ally with the rest of the careers. Briash nodded politely and accepted the offer. He then spent the rest of the day meeting the careers and working on his scythe skills. Focaccia now seemed intimidated by her district partner working with careers, and therefore she tried using a scythe. However, she did not appear to improve her skills as the day progressed. After a small lunch, Fabricia returned to the fabric station and made a barbed wire fence. Upon noticing how sharp this fence was, Olden told her that it would be of a lot of use in the arena if she knew how to set it up. Denim had spent the afternoon swiping at dummies with his sword, and ignored the careers who were glaring at him. At night, Sheev congratulated Briash on forming a successful pact with the careers. He told him to be prepared to turn on the careers at any time in the arena. In another room, Tritica told Focaccia not to trust her district partner fully, as he was working with the careers and could easily turn on her any time. Ava had brought a sword into the apartment building, and together, they worked on fighting into the night. Right before bedtime, Sheer entered the apartment and chatted with his son, while asking Ava if Fabricia was okay. The next day, the tribute training scores were assessed. The careers had obviously prepared for some more unique demonstrations, as Jasper of 1 and Isas of 2 scored 10s, and Morganite of 1 and Leonidas of 2 both scored 9s. When it was time for Denim's demonstration, he allegedly used the sword to some degree, and surprised the training staff for having improved what he had demonstrated the day before. This scored him a 6. Fabricia allegedly created a barbed wire fence, and scored a 7, but it is speculated that her bond with Odin from the previous day may have biased the vote. Briash scored an 8 for using a scythe with his extreme skill. He was given such a high score that as this level of talent was rare for his district. However, the score was not any higher, as his demonstration lacked creativity. Focaccia only scored a 4, as game makers revealed that her demonstration lacked lots of talent. The tributes were all congratulated for their training scores due to the strict grading. Molendinum, a 5, scored the highest of all non-career tributes, with a score of 8, while Cell of 2 only scored a 2. Cell of 12 only scored a 2. The next night, Ava designed a suit for Denim, which was purple with tints of yellow. She also made Denim a tie adorned with small cake shapes, as it was his birthday. Denim thanked his mother for the outfit and enjoyed some cake before the interviews. Ava offered Fabricia some cake. However, she said some very vibrant language at Ava, which caused Ava to return to the dining table with a look of guilt on her face. That night, Sif Heavensby warmly welcomed the audience to the interviews. First off, Morganite F1 was interviewed. Morganite told viewers that she was intending to bring a bow and a sheath of arrows into the arena. Throughout her interview, she came out as an intelligent individual with a likeness for wildlife. Her district partner, Jasper, was much more rowdy and told the audience that he was a fan of some of District X's festivities. Leonidas of 2 introduced himself as a very skilled spear user, while his district partner, Isis, was revealed to be a much quieter individual, but with deadly knife-throwing accuracy. Cassio of 3 did not like it when Sif asked him to introduce himself, and stuttered, which made Sif ask him a bunch of questions. Calgary of 6 vomited halfway through her interview, causing an intermission to be held when it was time for Fabricia's interview. When it was time for Fabricia's interview, she walked on stage in a homemade dress. Sif asked Fabricia about her relationship with Ava. After a tense moment, Fabricia lied that she had a decent bond with her. Sif also asked what she thought of Ava's designing. To this, Fabricia casually replied that she thought she herself could do better. This resulted in a variety of booing coming from the audience, leaving Fabricia to walk dejectedly off the stage. During Denim's interview, Sif noticed his outfit and wished him a happy birthday. Denim thanked Sif and shook her hand as he sat down. His interview progressed very well, as his mother had taught him how to respond to the questions. When Sif asked Denim what he thought his victory chances were, he responded that he thought they were low but not zero. This caused lots of applause from the audience, and various members of the audience wished him a happy birthday as he left the stage. After Denim, Focaccia was interviewed. For her interview, Focaccia told viewers that she knew how to treat wounds, and if she won, she would bring some delicacy bread goods to the capital. Focaccia did not seem as nervous when her interview ended. On the other hand, Briash was visibly quivering as he walked on stage. Sif welcomed him and tried to coax him, which worked to some extent. Briash answered Sif's questions with moderate ease. However, he still seemed very nervous. When the final tribute, Cell of 12, had left the stage, game maker Imperious Barrett walked on stage in a shiny white suit. He bowed and sat down beside Sif. Sif began attempting to get arena information out of him. However, he refused to leak anything related to the arena. Barrett did tell the Capitol that there would be some familiar traps in the arena, and that he had also decided on a way to fit the Quell theme. That night, Ava, Sheer, and Denim had a quiet birthday celebration, albeit without Fabricia. Midway through a slice of cake, there was a knock on the door. Sheer went to open the door and was shocked to see Sandy Snow standing there. Sandy wished Denim a happy birthday before pulling out her screen. Sandy's son, Deck, and her husband, Focus, were present. Focus wished Denim a happy birthday as well, before leaving. Sandy then gave Denim the screen. Denim ran to his room and had a private conversation with his former friend, and although it is unknown what they talked about, there were some notably strong emotions between the two. On the floor above, Briash confirmed with Sheaf that he was going to bring a scythe into the arena. On the other hand, Focaccia and Tritica— why does it keep correcting to Tritka? talked with each other, and eventually decided that Focaccia would be bringing a knife into the arena. The next morning, the tributes were flown to the arena, where they were dressed in a waterproof bodysuit. Before entering their tubes, a group of peacekeepers entered each room and asked what tributes wanted to bring into the arena with them. Denim and Ava had an emotional moment with each other. Ava spent the last few moments telling Denim how much she loved him, while Denim told his mother that he would win the games. There was then a knock on the door, which saw Ava open the door and request the sword. A tall peacekeeper who was wheeling a big cart took a sword from within the cart and gave it to Denim. They then wished him good luck and left for another holding room. In Fabricia's holding room, she was not spoken to by anyone until the peacekeepers entered. When they came, she requested barbed wire. In another holding room, Briash and Sheaf embraced, with Sheaf giving him some last-minute reminders to not trust the couriers fully. They then requested a scythe from the cart-wheeling peacekeepers. Tridica reminded Focaccia to find food in the cornucopia first. Focaccia nodded, and when the peacekeepers knocked on their door, Tridica asked for an extremely sharp knife. Although peacekeepers seemed surprised that she had requested this, they gave an extremely sharp one to Focaccia and wished her luck. Shortly afterwards, the tributes were ordered into their tubes, and within a few seconds, they had risen into the cornucopia. The question of why the tributes were wearing bodysuits was quickly answered, as this year, the podiums rose in the center of an ocean. There was no cornucopia, as this year there was no supplies. The tribute podiums were each surrounded by a force field, which prevented tributes from using their supplies against others early. A countdown began, but this time, most tributes seemed to realize that the smartest idea would be to run away. Further away from the center, there was a beach. As one exited the water and beach area, one would discover a palm tree forest. The forest had a variety of hiding spots. Further out in the water, there were many rock formations and harmless aquatic animals. The arena temperature was set high, with the water being slightly cooler. Towards the north of the area, there were some mountains, which were intentionally difficult to scale. Focaccia of 9 was placed between Calgary of 6 and Piskies of 4. As the countdown neared 0, she noticed that as there was nothing of use in front of her, she should run away from the center. When the gong rang, she did so. Right before the games began, Fabricia had turned away from the cornucopia, and as she prepared to run, she clutched onto her wire very tightly. Meanwhile, Briash had made eye contact with the couriers, which was hard to do as the glint of the force field reflected light into his eyes. Leonidas of 2 indicated the boy from 7, who was standing a podium to his left. He indicated that he would attack him. Denim had stood still on his podium, upon seeing the water. However, he realized that there was a force field around him, and relaxed a bit. He then held onto a sword, and waited for the gong to sound. When the gong finally rang, almost every tribute ran away from the podiums. It was only the couriers and Briash who had attempted to eliminate some of their competition. Leonidas had immediately pounced on the boy from 7 and stabbed his knife into his head. Briash had noticed this and shuddered. However, he quickly ran over to the girl from 12 and slashed his scythe through her neck before she could run away. Meanwhile, Jasper of 1 had stabbed the girl from 3 with his sword, which killed her before she could hit the ground. As Jasper did this, he looked up to see the girl from 5 collapsing at the hands of Isis of 2's throwing knives. Unlike her fellow couriers, Morganite F1 had begun picking off various tributes with her bow. As they tried to wade away in the water, Morganite shot arrows into the heads of both tributes from 10. As the bloodbath died down, the couriers regrouped in the center of the podium area and talked about which tributes to target. When six cannons sounded, the group left the podium area to collect the starting items of the fallen tributes. When the games began, Focaccia had run away from the cornucopia, in the direction of the tropical palm trees. Once in the forest, she seemed relieved to notice that she had survived. Clutching onto her knife, she ran further into the forest until the sand had mostly become dirt. There, she thanked the game makers for waterproof shoes. After a while of scouting the area, she decided to climb a tree, a skill which she had not showcased in training. On top of the tree, Focaccia was shocked to discover a small gold box, which contained some wound ointment. She pocketed this ointment in the big pockets of her bodysuit and settled down in the tree. Since he had some experience swimming, Denim was one of the first tributes to reach the island, after only the 2 tributes from 4. He then ran into the forest, where he discovered a small silver box. Denim quickly opened the box and discovered a backpack. He slung the backpack over his shoulder and ran deeper into the forest. When 6 cannons sounded, Denim decided to rest within some bushes. After wading away from the cornucopia, Fabricia had reached the island, where she ran into the forest. When she reached a small cluster of palms, she sat down and carefully began to work with the barbed wire. Sif described her hands as mechanical, as she began to turn the barbed wire into a sharp fence that could easily puncture a tribute's veins if they touched the sharp parts of the fence. When Fabricia was done creating the fence, she noticed a small silver box at her feet. Fabricia opened it and took out a lighter. Although she seemed unsure about what to do with this at the moment, she gathered some wood and lit her a small fire, which she used to warm herself up. At night, Fabricia stayed within her barbed wire fence and eventually put out the fire with some sand. When the bloodbath had concluded, the couriers and Briash decided to enter the forest. Isis suggested that they wade, as swimming would get them wet. Upon reaching the beach, Jasper stepped on something hard, which was revealed to be a gold box. Jasper picked up the gold box and asked if a tribute could have stored their item in it. To this, Leonidas shrugged and told him to open the box. Inside, there was a small dagger in it. Jasper gave the dagger to Leonidas, as he had only one sharp knife. Leonidas took the dagger and grinned, before wielding a weapon in either hand. The couriers then traveled deeper into the forest, and there they discovered a silver box. Now, Briash suggested that these boxes must be scattered around the arena by game makers. Morganite added that this must be intentional, as there were no supplies in the cornucopia. Therefore, the couriers agreed to split into 2 groups to search for any boxes, and by nighttime return to the beach. When the sun had set, the couriers regrouped by the beach and placed their boxes down. Briash, Isis, and Jasper had collected 3 silver boxes, a gold box, and 1 diamond blue box. Apart from the silver box they had discovered earlier, Morganite and Leonidas had also come back with another silver box and 2 gold ones. After setting all the boxes down, the couriers opened them. Inside the silver boxes, there were various items. Of the 5 silver boxes they had procured, Two of them held empty water bottles. One contained a backpack, another featured a lighter, and the last one held a bottle of iodine. The courier stored these supplies in the backpack before opening the golden ones. Leonidas unboxed the 3 golden boxes, which in total contained a long wooden stick, a machete, and a lumberjack sandwich with a cutting board. Isis was clearly happy to see food. However, she proceeded to open up the diamond box, and was delighted to see a cutting board and a lot of bread. As night fell in the arena, the portraits of the girl from 3, the girl from 5, the boy from 7, both tributes from 10, and the girl from 12 were shown, which left 18 tributes alive. In the morning, massive mutts were sent out from the cornucopia. These mutts were crabs, but the size of a small capital car. Gamemaker Barrett had underestimated the crabs' abilities, and after the crabs killed Cassio of 3 and Sal of 12 with their pincers, he recalled the crabs. By this time, every tribute had discovered a box of some sort, except for Molendinum of 5. Civ explained that the silver boxes had the least valuable loot, while the gold and diamond boxes were harder to find but contained better loot. The tributes were given some time to roam around the island, and by noon, Calgareth and Eiffel, both of 6, had come across Juice and Sprout, both of 11. The two pairs engaged in a fight, with Eiffel stabbing Juice, while Sprout speared Calgary in the heart. With their district partners dead, Eiffel and Sprout engaged in a fierce fight, but eventually, Eiffel was able to get on top of Sprout and force a spear through her nose. Civ shrugged and stated that the 4 could easily have made a strong alliance. Denham had spent the second day searching for more boxes, and was pleased to discover a gold one partially buried under some dirt. Upon opening it, he was delighted to see a filled bottle of water. Denham drank some water and stored the remainder in his backpack. He also asked for a sponsor gift of food. However, nothing came. This was due to a sponsor ban for the entire duration of the games. Despite being hungry, Denham roamed the forest until he discovered some footprints in some mud. Denham decided not to follow the footprints and headed in the opposite direction. Unbeknownst to them, the footprints belonged to Kapoka of 7, who had hidden in a tree with her axe. Kapoka had not seen Denham. However, if she had, she would have been able to hit him with her axe. Meanwhile, Focaccia had run through the forest and noticed the couriers resting at the beach. Focaccia looked prepared to run away from them. However, she noticed Briash guarding the supplies, while Borgonite prepared to run away from them. Focaccia looked prepared to run away from them. However, she noticed Briash guarding the supplies, while Morganite cleaned herself in the water. Focaccia quickly ran towards Briash and asked him for help. Fortunately for her, Morganite did not notice her, and as Briash was about to turn around to grab something, a knife flew through the air and landed in Focaccia's spine. Focaccia screamed and shouted at Briash for help. However, he gave her a bittersweet smile and slashed her throat out with his scythe. When Focaccia's cannon sounded, Briash told Isis that his district partner had asked him for food, and he had immediately killed her. Isis smiled and retrieved her throwing knives. She then plucked a knife and wound ointment from Focaccia's pockets and gave them to Leonidas. The group then ate some lunch and discussed the locations of the other tributes. When the sun had turned orange, the group enjoyed a sunset, which was interrupted by a cannon. This cannon belonged to Kapoka of 7. Viewers had seen that Kapoka had run to the edge of the forest, and as she spied on the couriers, Molendinum had run up behind her and dumped his entire bottle of acid on her head. He had then picked up her axe and had run back into the forest before the careers could investigate. Fabricia had spent the day roaming the arena and avoiding tributes. When cannons boomed out, she did not react. When the sun was in the middle of the sky, she declared it to be noon and began to beg for food. She even apologized to Ava and told the sky that she would find Denim and help him if she received him food. Due to the sun's ban, nothing came. However, Fabricia did not notice. She began to tell Ava some of her secrets, which clearly amused capital citizens. Fabricia eventually gave up on begging for food and ran away just in time to avoid getting seen by Bublina and Piscus, both of 4. At nighttime, the portraits of Calgary of 8, Cassio of 3, Calgary of 6, Capoca of 7, Focaccia of 9, Juice of 11, and Cell of 12 were shown, leaving 12 tributes alive. In the morning, a variety of different birds were released into the arena. These birds were programmed to fly around but not attack tributes unless provoked. Briash had slowly awoken the careers, and together, they agreed to bury their supplies and go hunting. With the sun rising slowly, the group ran into the forest. After a while of searching for tributes, they were unsuccessful in discovering anybody. They rested until a cannon sounded. Isis seemed very annoyed that they were unable to kill tributes by themselves. Fabricia had woken up and dismantled her barbed wire fence. She then gathered her lighter and quickly begged for food and drink. Unfortunately for her, nothing came. As she began to show symptoms of dehydration, Sif pondered how long she would last. When Fabricia had at last collapsed, she noticed a silver box buried within the sand near her. A camera revealed that she had muttered the word please before reaching for the box. When she'd opened the box, however, she discovered a small box of poison. Fabricia seemed ready to drink the poison, but at that moment someone ran over to her. Denim looked at Fabricia and asked if she was okay. Although she was about to die, Fabricia told Denim that she was fine, and began to raise the bottle to her mouth. However, Denim knocked it out of her hand, causing the poison to spill into the ground. Fabricia immediately tried standing up. However, Denim offered her some of his water. Despite her feelings towards Denim, Fabricia took the water and drank it all. She then took out her barbed wire fence and pounced on Denim. He screamed as Fabricia tried to use the sharp parts of the wire to pierce his neck. Denim began to shout at Fabricia and asked why she would do this after he had just spared her life. However, Fabricia did not let go and told the nearest camera that this was why mentors should treat their tributes fairly. When she realized that Denim was stronger at pushing her hands away from him, Fabricia turned her elbow and hit Denim in the nose. Denim shouted in pain and pushed Fabricia off of him. He then reached for his sword and tried slashing Fabricia. However, he missed, giving Fabricia time to pick up her barbed wire. She then rushed towards Denim. However, Denim thrust a sword through her stomach, killing her instantly. Denim apologized to Fabricia, although it was clear he did not mean it. He then took the barbed wire and Fabricia's lighter and stored them in his bag. A few minutes after Fabricia's cannon had sounded, the careers arrived at the area where the hovercraft had collected her body. Leonidas began to examine the area, and identified that by the way the blood droplets were scattered, Fabricia had been impaled by something. Isis quickly looked around and was delighted to notice footprints. With Jasper leading the way, the careers followed Denim's footprints until they'd reached the beach. Denim had noticed his footprints, and therefore he ran to the beach in circles in an attempt to throw the careers off. He then ran back into the forest. Unfortunately for him, the careers were not fooled by the circle of footprints and were able to run to the forest. Despite his head start, Denim was soon able to hear the careers' voices behind him, and in a latch ditch resort, he hid inside a bush. Luckily for him, his footprints had faded away, which saw the careers run past his bush. Denim had then exited and had sprinted in the direction of the beach. By noon, Denim began to show signs of hunger. As luck would have it, he discovered a diamond box embedded into a tree after he slashed his sword against it in anger. When he discovered a large assortment of fruits and meats inside, he ate some and stored the rest in his backpack. He then ran into the jungle. Briash and the careers had remained in the jungle after realizing that Denim had gotten away. Isis soared profusely. However, she stopped when a low roar came from deep within the forest. This low roar gradually morphed into many clicking sounds. These belonged to the crabs, which had been released earlier, and now they were set to attack any tribute they saw. The couriers immediately sprinted back towards the beach and tried to communicate with each other as they ran. However, their words were interrupted by cannons. Eiffel, of 6, had fallen out of the tree he was in and had been killed by a crab, while Molendinum, of 5, had attempted to run around the crabs, only to have his penis impaled by a claw. Bublaine and Piscus, both of 4, had fought off some crabs with their tridents, but upon realizing that they would be overpowered easily, they climbed a tree and rested there. As night began to set on the arena, the crablets were recalled, and tributes were given some peace. Jasper and Morganite began to complain about not finding any tributes, while Briash realized that he would likely be turned against soon. Denham had found a clearing in the forest, which he rested in for the night. When midnight came along, the portraits of Molendinum, of 5, Eiffel, of 6, and Fabricia, of 8, flashed in the sky, leaving Jasper and Morganite, both of 1, Leonidas and Isis, both of 2, Bublaine and Piscus, both of 4, Denham of 8, Briash of 9, and Sprout of 11 remaining. At exactly 9 a.m. the next morning, Gamemaker Barrett announced to all tributes in the arena that in 30 minutes a tidal wave would hit the island. He wished that the odds be in the tributes' favor, and ended his announcement. Denham immediately left his clearing and ran towards the center island. He appeared worried that the wave would still hit him. However, he realized what was happening, as there was a large clearing in the center of the island. He wondered aloud why the Gamemakers were bringing the tributes in this early. However, he readied his sword and looked around. After turning his head and not noticing any tributes, he walked inwards towards the center and noticed a ruby-studded box. Denham was about to pick it up, but he remembered where he was and looked around. When still nobody was there, Denham put his sword down, but at that moment, a trident flew through the air and narrowly avoided his head. Denham stood up and held his sword ready just in time to see Bublaine and Piscus, both of 4, enter the clearing. Bublaine, who was now weaponless, yelled at Piscus to throw her trident. However, Piscus appeared to recognize Denham, and instead of stabbing him, she stabbed her district partner in the face. Blood squirted out of Bublaine's face as Piscus grinned and told Denham to come over. Denham seemed hesitant and told her to drop her trident. Piscus did as told and threw her trident at Denham's feet. He then picked up the trident and walked over, only to hear 2 cannons sound. Piscus introduced herself and told Denham that she had been one of Deck's friends' girlfriends. Denham did not seem remotely surprised and simply shrugged. He then asked Piscus if she wanted to be allies with him. Piscus nodded, which caused Denham to smile and pick up his sword. He then handed Piscus the trident as the rumble of the wave entered the arena. Briash had been running to the clearing when he heard Bublaine's cannon. He quickly turned around and was shocked to see Leonidas and Isis fighting Morganite and Jasper. Seeing an opportunity, Briash ran away from the couriers just as Leonidas stabbed Jasper through the throat and Isis stabbed Morganite in the brain. Leonidas and Morganite then began to complain about Briash. However, they noticed Sprout running toward the clearing. Upon hearing the rumble of the wave starting, Isis threw her knife at Sprout. This knife hit Sprout in the leg, which caused her to fall and hit her head on the rock. With Sprout unconscious, Leonidas yelled at Isis to run, as the wave was now visible behind them. They entered the clearing just a few seconds before the wave hit the ground. Sprout's cannon sounded a second later. Briash had run through the forest, and after nearly falling over, he made it to the clearing just in time. As the wave had swept the island from all sides, there was now no land that could be traversable, since it had been covered in mud. Leonidas and Isis immediately pulled out their weapons. Leonidas ran towards Briash first. However, Brioche used his scythe to deflect Leonidas' daggers. Brioche then shoved Leonidas backwards with his scythe. With Leonidas on the ground, Brioche slashed him across the neck, killing him. Sif now dubbed Brioche the Grim Reaper for his sudden display of strength in the finale. Isis had stayed calm while Leonidas ran. For Brioche, and when she noticed Piscis and Denim approaching her, she calmly loosened a knife from her belt. She then threw it at Piscis before she realized. The knife hit Piscis squarely in the forehead, sending her cannon as she hit the ground. Brioche had seen this happen. However, he waited for Isis to attack Denim first. Isis slowly approached Denim and smiled at him, which seemed to unnerve him, due to the sharpness of her teeth. Isis then grinned and prepared to throw a knife. However, Denim directed his eyes to an imaginary spot above Isis's shoulder. Thinking that Brioche was behind her, Isis turned around, which allowed Denim to jump forward and drive his sword through her neck. Denim then looked at Brioche with an expression of sorrow. Brioche ran towards Denim and tried to slash him. However, Denim was unable to dodge this and slash Brioche's shoulder. However, Denim was able to dodge this and slash Brioche's shoulder. Brioche screamed in pain, which allowed Denim to get his sword into his chest. When Brioche's cannon sounded, Sif commented that Denim had conquered death. Ha 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 ha. While Game Maker Barrett announced that Denim Cartwright of District 8 was the victor of the 110th Hunger Games. In the days leading up to the victor's interview, Denim received a variety of praise and hate from the capital. However, he spent most of his time with his mother and father. For his victor's interview, his mother made him a dark purple suit adorned with water and palm trees to represent his time in the arena. Sif Heavensby walked on stage in a flowing beige dress adorned with silver, gold, and diamond. Sif praised Denim's outfit, causing him to do the same. She then began the interview by passing Denim the ruby box that had been placed in the center of the clearing. Denim cautiously opened it and discovered a single breath mint inside. The audience laughed as Denim swallowed it, pretended to choke, and continued his interview. Throughout his chat with Sif, he maintained a calm composure, which was similar to that of his mother. When his interview finally ended, Denim thanked the audience, bowed, and told viewers that he would be back. When Denim returned to District 8, he lived a relatively simple life with his family, and later had kids. Later that year, it was revealed that during the games, several victors had been called by the Peacekeepers to act as secret assassins. However, this idea was scrapped midway through the games, as the game makers did not find it fitting with the theme of the year's games. And yeah, that is it. Please leave a comment, and I'll see you later.